What is up, everyone? Man, this has been a crazy morning for me. I had a hard time getting my stream together, but I'm think I'm good now. And last week, or not last week, on Monday, I still learning this StreamYard interface. I've been playing with it a little bit more today. To kind of not today, but this morning and yesterday and the day before that, I've been trying to learn this so I could be a little bit more efficient in the way I use StreamYard, because this is brand new for me, right? So I got a lot of good feedback the other day from the first StreamYard. One of the prevailing questions I keep getting asked by people is, how often do I plan on using StreamYard, using this to kind of get my show out to the atmosphere? And truth be told, I really don't know exactly. I'm still, again, right now, the tentative plan is Mondays and Fridays. Probably every week or every other week, depending on what my schedule is, because my day-to-day schedule changes often, especially this semester, with with school finally getting back to full capacity on campus. And it's just been a hectic time for anybody that works in education, anybody in California. um and Because the the balance is, you need the interaction with other people, especially if you are a young like college student, and a young like primary school student and middle school student and all that stuff. You need that interaction, but it's not like it, but you also don't want people getting sick from the pandemic, and we're not completely out of the pandemic yet. So people are nervous, people have their feelings and stuff. I understand it from every angle. um it is what it is. I always say that when something is out of my control. So it is what it is. But anyway, without any further ado, let's kind of get to a little bit of feedback that I got. If you have any questions, please ask them in the chat. Again, if you are watching this on YouTube, I suggest not sending any super chat money yet. I'm still, again, in the process of learning this, and I wouldn't want someone to send a super chat and then I skip right over it. Although my friend Romeo in New York showed me how to get super chats on screen, so I don't think I'll be having that problem again, but I could get any kind of chat. So super chat or not, I will, if as long as you're not like purposely trolling or offending, I will put your question on screen or your comment on screen, right? So anyway, I got a few of these. Let me see how many questions I got. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So if you ever like email me, and I'm gonna like the I don't have like a email address that I'm gonna use consistently yet. I was gonna use my regular email address, but I don't. Yeah, I want to keep my personal email address separate from this, so I'll probably set up another Gmail account or something. Um, so I got a lot of questions. I haven't read through all of them, but I'm just gonna read through what's in front of me. And again, if you have any questions, please go to the the just ask it on whatever platform you're watching this on, whether it's Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, uh, Twitch, whatever. Just ask the question on one of those platforms, and I will be sure to get to it. So, the first question I got is why? What do you mean when you say that there is a difference between being a First Amendment advocate and a free speech advocate? So, if you are a free speech advocate, what I've often found with the free speech group, and I use that term very, very loosely, is that these people are not, they are for speech that they agree with. They are for speech where's this mic gonna go? All right. They are for speech they agree with. They are more for saying whatever they want to say without any consequences behind it. Um, and they pride themselves on being in favor of free speech. That's not what the First Amendment is. The First Amendment is about the freedom to is about free speech. It's about freedom of expression. It's about freedom to protest. It's about freedom of assembly, and it's about freedom of the press. It's about all of those and things. It's all encompassing. So you can't be a First Amendment advocate if you are against people's right to protest, because protesting is a part of the First Amendment. As long as you are not breaking the law when you protest, you are allowed to do that. And there are rules for protesting. You know, you can't just go on the streets and start protesting randomly. You have to tell the police, hey, I'm going to have a group of 500 people or so. We're going to be protesting in this area. You can't block sidewalks, you can't block walkways, things of that nature, right? So these are important things to understand when we're talking about the First Amendment. And people usually, when they talk about the First Amendment, they're not really talking about the First Amendment. They're talking about one small portion of the First Amendment, which is free speech, and they misunderstand free speech as, oh, everybody should do whatever they want to do. And that was my problem with Bill Maher last week. He wasn't he cites free speech, but he never really cites the First Amendment. And if you are a First Amendment advocate, you're going to be for all of those rights. You're going to be right for the right of freedom of the press, freedom to petition, freedom to protest, freedom of assembly is what that's called, freedom of religion, all of it. You're going to be for, that's what you're going to be for, not just the speech portion of that, if that makes any sense. Thank you for your question. So what do you mean when you say people need to be intellectually honest in their political discourse? Did I say that? Okay, that's something I agree with. I don't remember me saying that on Monday, but if I did say that, I probably did. When I say intellectually honest in their discourse, they need to, it's a lot of it has to do with being realistic of what your asks are. If you are a person who does not like the police, and your solution to getting rid of the police is to uh how do I say this? Your solution is to get rid of the police altogether and, get mad at a Supreme Court nominee that's endorsed by the police, and I hate the police, and the police suck, and all this other stuff. That's not an invalid opinion, but if you're actively looking to eradicate the police, that is something that's just not going to happen. You feel me? And you want to keep your political asks within the realm of things that could actually happen. You know what I'm saying? If you're not doing that, then you're not keeping it real with yourself. You're not being um you're not, how do I say it? You're not being intellectually honest. This is a political, this is why understanding the science of politics is important, because people who don't understand the politics will will say, "Oh, don't vote," or they'll say things like, "Oh, only vote in local elections, not in federal elections," and people don't understand it's a trickle down effect and a trickle up effect. I'll get into more of that in a little bit, but for right now, I just kind of want to table that for a second. Um, Also, you got to also, I'll go, being intellectually honest is knowing what the law is, and before you pose a question or a counter argument, you actually have to know what the law is. So I was taught a long time ago that for a debate to be a good debate, there's got to be a baseline level of truth that every side agrees with, or most sides agree with, right? So what do I mean when I say a baseline level of truth? So let's take the Will Smith smacking Chris Rock at the Oscars. All right, let's just take that as a blanket thing. So Will Smith smacks Chris Rock at the Oscars. The baseline of that we have to agree with before a, a reasonable discourse could happen is that that what Chris Rock what happened to Chris Rock was physical assault. That is 100% fact as defined by LA County. Will Smith ran on stage and smacked the guy right in the face. That is physical assault. If you agree that that is physical assault, you also have to agree that Will Smith broke the law. So from there, we can have a discussion on the ramifications of that, right? You have to agree that he broke the law in order for the discussion to move forward. If you do not believe that Will Smith broke the law, then you are living in a land of make believe, because he clearly broke the law as written, and it was on camera for everybody to see. And there's no arguing with camera footage, especially when it's live footage, didn't even really have time to get doctored up. So you have to kind of agree with that. The intellectually honest discussion would be something like, should Will Smith be punished for smacking Chris Rock and breaking the law? What did Chris Rock's words, were those fighting words? Fighting words doctrine. Sometimes the court upholds it, sometimes it doesn't. It really depends on your area, the circumstances, what was said, etc. Should that be upheld? That's a valid question. You're not saying that that law does not exist. You're not saying that Will Smith didn't physically assault Chris Rock, what you are asking is, should it be considered physical assault? I think it should be considered physical assault. I agree with the way that law is written. But if you don't agree with the way that law is written, you come up with counter arguments to say why you don't think Will Smith should be punished enough or punished to the fullest extent of whatever. That is a intellectually honest discourse. So I hope I explained that a little bit better. You have to start off on the basis of what the law is, right? If you have a problem with the police, your thing is, oh, I want to get rid of police departments altogether. That's all well and good. It's not intellectually honest, because if you're being intellectually honest with yourself, you are not getting rid of the police altogether. That's just not something that's feasible. All right. Especially the way the law is written right now, especially with the systems in place that make it hard to do something like that. That is an unrealistic ask. Defund the police, whether you like the branding of defund or not, it's still it's more honest than, oh, let's get rid of the police altogether, right? Again, you want to start from a place of honesty with your debates. You don't want to start from a place of just things that are just not realistic, if that makes any sense to you at all. Let me go to this right here. All right, so some of these I'm not really seeing I'm not seeing the comments. I see comments, but I'm not seeing them. This is something I have to work out later. Again, I'm tightening up the show to make sure that everything is well and running smoothly with it. So just bear with me. What are the midterm chances looking like for the Dems? That's a good question. I don't think at this moment in time it is looking entirely promising for the Dems right now. I don't necessarily think it's doom and gloom, but if I'm being honest, I think there's a lot of mitigating circumstances that might be reflective on midterm elections. Gas prices are at an all-time high. Inflation is at an all-time high. So naturally, when things are like that, people have a tendency to blame the president for it. And when the economy is good, people give the president too much credit for that. I don't think I think people give the president too much blame and too much credit for the economy, because there's outside factors outside of US government that's going to cause the economy to boom or not, right? So Bill Clinton gets a lot of credit for the economy in the 1990s, which is good. But if you are a political scientist, if you are somebody that studies social science, you're going to look outside of just the White House as to why the economy was booming in the 90s. And what happened to it with the economy in the 1990s? One of the things that happened was the dot-com boom, right? The internet boom that really took things to another level, and it made it easy to do commerce online. You had the birth of things like Amazon, PetSmart, things of that nature that contributed to a robust economy. Bill Clinton had very little to do with that kind of thing. There was also a lot of outsourcing in Bill Clinton's years. So that didn't really do a lot for the American economy, but people like kind of look back on that with a lot of nostalgia bias, but that really wasn't all President Clinton's doing. If you look at W. Bush's when he was the president, so he facilitated a war. Bill Clinton, George Bush gets a lot of the blame for the war, the invasion of Afghanistan, the Iraq War, all that stuff. He gets a lot of blame for that. But truth be told, there were a lot of people in the House and the Senate, some of them were Democrats, who okayed him to go to war, right? So when he went to war, that brought the economy down. George W. Bush was able to kind of quell a lot of American moods to win re-election. I'm talking about 2004. I don't even want to get into what happened in 2000 because, but 2004, you might not like George W. Bush. I'm not a fan of George W. Bush. He did win 2004 fairly. The evidence, I did see some Democrats, John Ennis for one, he has this documentary where he questions what happened in Ohio. I'm willing to concede that that W. Bush in 2004, he won the popular vote and he won the electoral college vote, and that's why he became president. All right. Let's see. More questions. Who would you rather debate, a Republican or someone who does not believe in politics? Okay, so what do you mean when you say somebody who does not believe in politics? Here's the thing with that. And this is what I tell to a lot of my non-voting friends. Is you don't have to believe in something for it to be real or not. You know what I'm saying? You can not believe in the law of gravity. The law of gravity still exists. You don't have to necessarily believe in oxygen. Oxygen exists. So you can not believe in a lot of things, but they still exist, right? And if there's like living and breathing, if there's proof that it exists based on theories and scientific studies and law and etc., then that makes it a valid talking point, right? So the belief in politics, that's not something you have a choice of believing in or not. If you don't think the system is real, that's just false. That's not true. It is real. So the question was, who would you rather debate, a Republican or someone who doesn't believe in politics? I would, if you're talking about someone who does not believe in politics, as in someone who does not believe in the system, I'd probably rather debate a Republican, only because I think with Republicans there's a baseline level of something that we both might agree on. If you are someone that just doesn't like government at all, you hate it, and you don't think there's any validity in voting or anything like that, then there's no place for the debate to go, because you've already have made up in your mind that politics is bullcrap, right? So I can't really get with that. With at least a Republican, even if I don't agree with everything they say, I can make counterpoints to the points that they have. And Republicans in 2022, a lot of them are just completely unrealistic about things, like especially with the the so-called stolen election and voter fraud and stuff. Again, when something goes through litigation, when something is verified by the courts, um, and it's been verified by a number of courts that the election was free and fair, and you're still saying it wasn't, and you're not producing any evidence or proof to back up your assertion that the election was stolen, then where can the debate go from there? The only thing I can do is call you wrong, because the courts said that you were wrong, and move on to another talking point, because you have your argument doesn't have any real grounds to stand on. And that's the problem with a lot of the Republicans in the House and Senate right now. So when someone says they do not believe in politics, it's again, it's just, it's not realistic. If I can say that. All right. Let me see. What kind of debates do you intend on having on your show? Last week you said you were not entertaining arguments that you said, wait, let me okay. Last week you said not every argument deserves merit. Can you please expand on this? Okay. So for an argument to deserve some kind of merit, there needs to again be a baseline of something that both parties can kind of agree on. Uh I always anytime I used to watch, like, it was like it'd be like Kirk Cameron, and he'd be debating an atheist, and the arguments would be so circular. And I guess the argument is to convince non-believers or believers to go one way or the other in the audience. I just always thought those kind of debates just really were a waste of time for my liking. If you believe in God, you believe in God. If you don't believe in God, you don't believe in God. I myself am agnostic, meaning that I don't not necessarily not believe in God. I have questions. I'm curious, and I don't um I don't believe in people using religion as a crutch to kind of make excuses for bad behavior. You know, one of the common phrases in the black church is, God ain't finished with me. You know what I'm saying? And they use that as an excuse to do something wrong. You know what I'm saying? It's like, uh, yeah, I let the demons get a hold of me or whatever. I don't like that. Even in Will Smith's Oscar speech, he got up there on the stage and he said something about the devil tries to get you at whatever, at your best moment. I forgot what he said, but essentially kind of trying to alleviate himself from smacking that brother on stage, instead of just taking full ownership of it. The demons got me argument does not work for me. It just doesn't. I've had family members who go in and out of jail. Natalie Courtney, let me see what that says. It says, thank you, Natalie. I appreciate that. Yeah, you're awesome too. I appreciate that, Natalie. So I've had people go like back at, like, for me, it's, how do I say it? I'm kind of the belief that using God to justify, or using the devil or God or whatever to justify bad behavior is a problem for me. If you want to use God to justify good behavior, that's fine. I got no issue with that. If you want to say, "Oh, God saw me through this. God helped me out," um, that's fine, and it actually shows a little bit of humility too, right? But if you say, "Oh, I'm sorry, I like that dude, what's the guy's name? Derek Jackson last year, when he got caught cheating on his wife, and he said something like, the demons got a hold of me or whatever." Like, come the F on, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, things like that bother me. When George Bush used speaking to God as an excuse to go to war, that's a problem with me too. The problem with religious arguments, um, for me, is they're unfalsifiable. So when I say unfalsifiable, I mean there's no way you can approve. No, there's no way you could prove this stuff or disprove it. That's what unfalsifiability means to me. So if let me give you an example. Like, so say I get the flu on a Monday, and I pray that God helps me feel better from the flu. And let's say I take, Theraflu or whatever, and I also pray, and the next day or two I feel much better. Maybe God healed me. Maybe God had a part in healing me. Or maybe the medicine that I took just did what it was supposed to do, and maybe that helped me. Or maybe it's a combination of both. I can't prove that God didn't have a factor in that one way or the other. So that's kind of what I mean by unfalsifiable. It's not something that you could easily just prove. And I don't think unfalsifiability necessarily belongs in politics, or is a good excuse for doing bad things, or anything of that nature, if that makes sense. All right. So let me see. I got more of these questions. So yeah, so again, short answer, the debates that I want to have are debates that are kind of steeped in realism. I like debates where one side could be right and one side could be wrong, like with the abortion debate. I am uh pro-abortion, but I do see some merits in being pro um anti-abortion. I don't like using the term pro-life because it suggests that people that are pro-abortion are pro-death. The truth is, I do not know when life starts. We've talked about this in my philosophy classes, and I've taken a bunch of them. I can't verify when life starts. Like, I've talked to women who've been pregnant, and they said they felt the instant connection when they were pregnant. I've talked to women who got pregnant under not so ideal circumstances. Usually, when I talk to the women that say, "Oh, I felt an instant connection with the baby," a lot of the time they were in a loving relationship with either their boyfriend or husband. And I think that kind of adds to the connectiveness of it. In other circumstances that where it's not as ideal, um, I've talked to women who said they didn't feel any connection, you know. So it's really not something that I like. Like if someone says, "Oh, I'm anti-abortion," I'm not gonna like just dismiss it altogether. I want to talk to them and hear the reasons why they feel that they feel. Um, that's to me an honest debate. If if you're coming from a place of uh these black people need to go back to Africa, or these Mexicans need to go back to Mexico, or these Indians need to go back to India, that's not an honest starting point for a debate for me. That means you are racist or xenophobic, or you got some kind of other issues going on with you. And that's not what I would call a fruitful debate. So let me see. What kind of debates? I already answered that. Um, Last week you said not every argument deserves merit. Can you please elaborate? I can elaborate on this. So it's like certain arguments, like with Bill Maher was talking about last week about ivermectin, and he was saying that humans do use it, which has been, they do give ivermectin to humans in low dosage. And it's a difference between the ivermectin they give to like horses versus the ivermectin that they give to human beings. So I've read that much. The problem with the ivermectin discussion is the studies on it aren't conclusive. So how can we tell if these studies aren't conclusive? We look at scholarly journals to see what they say. And I'm sure, you can find something in the scholarly journal. Let me see if I could pull something up real quick and see if I can find any thing in regards to ivermectin. So let me. I think I remember how to do this. If I don't, then please forgive me. Because I want to do this with you guys, so you guys won't think I've queued this up on my own. So let me just go here. Let me. So yeah, because it's not the problem with debates like with ivermectin and stuff like that is there is no significant statistical data that I have found that backs up the usage of ivermectin over like the Moderna vaccine, the Pfizer vaccine, or even the Johnson and Johnson vaccine. So let me go to this. So yeah, that's the biggest issue that I see with stuff like that, is the fact that people are, they there's a tendency to kind of make up the rules as you go along. Okay. Let me. All right. There we go. All right. So let me search ivermectin. Let me go to Google Scholar first, because this is where you go when you want to see if it's been if you're looking for peer-reviewed articles, you go to Google Scholar. Google. Okay. So let's look up Ivermectin and COVID. Let me see if anything comes up with that. Because again, the point of a debate isn't to just like tell people that they're wrong without any kind of merit behind it. You want to say this is why I think that you're wrong. That's where a debate should be fruitful, where you learn something or you understand why the other side believes what they believe. A debate shouldn't be about just strong arming somebody and being right um and uh and that kind of crap. So let me look at this. Ivermectin, and we want to look up ivermectin and COVID, right? Ivermectin COVID-19 comes right up in the drag down. So this is the first article that comes up on there. And is it wanting to even come up for me? There it is. Okay. So this is from Cochrane Library. So Cochrane Library is going to be considered a valid source, right? Ivermectin for preventing the treatment of COVID-19. Ivermectin for preventing and treating COVID-19. So what I love about scholarly journals is it has how many authors are there. So they've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 authors on it. So you could tell this article's been peer reviewed a bunch of times and looked at considerably. So, and then they say the background of the study. I won't read that. They talk about the methods of the study. And this is an important part when you're looking at peer reviewed stuff. We searched the Cochrane COVID-19 study register, Web Science. So saying all the places that they search for to kind of get it. They've got the selection criteria. They got their data collection and analysis on the page, why they did it, the main results. So this is where probably you'd want to skip over to if you don't feel like reading this whole thing. Now it says main results. Let me see. Hold on. Let me just make sure it's still showing up because people will come for me if it's not. Okay. And if you have any chat questions, I will, when I'm done looking at this, I'll answer them. Okay. So we found with 1,678 participants investigating ivermectin treatment to no treatment, placebo. So a placebo group is important to have as well, or a standard of care. No study compared ivermectin as an intervention with proven efficacy, right? Because again, that's my problem with the ivermectin argument is it's not necessarily that ivermectin doesn't work. It's just the efficacy isn't there significantly enough to where you can call this a cure for something or a reasonable treatment. All the studies with ivermectin are random, right? One study investigated ivermectin for uh, prevention SARS-CoV infection. 8 studies had an open label, 6 were so this they looked at a bunch of studies, a blind study, open label study, all this different stuff. Compared to placebo or standard care for inpatient. We are uncertain again again this is my problem with these arguments is the ivermectin argument doesn't have significant efficacy to back up the claims with it. I'm not, again, it's not about saying, oh, ivermectin is wrong, or saying, oh, you are 100% wrong if you agree with, if you want to take ivermectin, you want to take horse dewormer, you're stupid, this and that. That's not what I'm about. What I'm about is looking for studies that make sense to what you are claiming. And if I can't find a study that shows, a peer-reviewed study that shows you are right, then it's just nonsense. So compared to, please let me see if I can, if there's author's conclusions. There they go, author's conclusions. So based on the very low to low certainty evidence, we are uncertain about the efficacy and safety ivermectin used to treat or prevent COVID-19. Completed studies are small and few are considered high quality. Several studies are underway that may produce clearer answers in review updates. Overall, reliable evidence available does not support the use of ivermectin treatment or prevention of COVID-19 outside of well-designed randomized trials. So that was the first thing that came up on Google Scholar. The very first thing that came up on Google Scholar. So, like, what can you do at that point? You know what I'm saying? You could still believe what you want to believe. If you're a person that doesn't believe in science, which I know a lot of people um are like that, they don't believe in science at all. So showing them a peer-reviewed article with statistical data and evidence means nothing to them. You know, that means something to me. I'm a facts guy, I'm a logic guy, I'm a science guy. And if I see a study and it looks significant enough for me to be like, hey, this person at least did their homework, and I understand why they reached the conclusions that they've reached. That means more to me than than just some random BS. So anywho, hope I'm making sense to you. I just gave you guys a mouthful. How long have we been going? 48 minutes. So again, that's the kind of stuff that I want to debate. And again, it's not even about just being right or just trying to strong arm people or bully people into believing about the vaccine. For me, it's about showing proof that either proves what I say and that's correct, or shows the out, or shows the counter, shows that disproves what I say. Again, if you're somebody who's an anti-intellectualist and you don't believe in scientific studies, you don't believe in data collection, or you think the man, whoever the man is always out to get you, then studies like this mean absolutely nothing to you. So, anyway, do you believe that religious arguments belong in politics? It depends on what the religious argument is. Do religious arguments belong in politics? If you're arguing over the free speech, um, whether I should be allowed to pray in school or not, I don't. I agree. Like, I think that's a fair argument to have. My whole thing with that is I like the way the First Amendment is written with the separation of church and state. If you go to a public school, um, there are clubs on campus where you can have your extracurricular activities. At Ventura College, where I work, there's this club called InterVarsity. I have a few students who are in that club, and they're well within their rights to be in that club. But when it becomes a part of the curriculum, that's when I have a problem with it. When George W. Bush says things like, um, God told me to go to war. I'm paraphrasing. I'm not, it's not an exact quote, but when I hear things like that, I don't think that kind of rhetoric belongs in politics. But if it's just for someone's First Amendment right to pray or do whatever they want to do, yeah, like there was this Supreme Court case last year with this student. I forget his name, but he was passing out a religious pamphlet to other students, and it went in front of the Supreme Court. I think it was a bipartisan decision, like the Democratic and Republican justices on the Supreme Court said, "Hey, this guy has the right to do that." I think a religious discussion like that is merited. Not only merited, but sometimes it's necessary, right? Just to understand what the law is. Because the thing with the law is anytime there is ambiguity to a law, it is up to the courts to decide what that law is. The downside of it, the more conservative a Supreme Court, the Supreme Court gets, the more lopsided the judgments get. I didn't necessarily mind a 5-4 Supreme Court with 5 conservative justices and 4 liberal justices. It wasn't my like the best situation, but I didn't hate it because there was always one justice. Back in the day, it was Kennedy when he was on the Supreme Court. He would be the swing vote. I do mind 6-3. I think that is just too lopsided in favor of conservatives to get more conservative decisions made. Um, Unfortunately, once it becomes a law, it becomes a law. There's nothing we can do about it becoming a law. What our power lies into joining the correct unions, joining the right people, looking for like-minded individuals that think like you to go lobby and get the law changed. People don't like politics because they are bored by politics. They think political discourse is pointless, is stupid, it doesn't matter. They think the system is the same, all this other stuff. I hear all these kind of anti-intellectual political arguments. These arguments, not only are they anti-intellectual, they are politically illiterate discussions. And when I say politically illiterate, it just means that you do not understand how the law works and you do not understand what the basic function of government is. Hope that makes sense. I didn't even bring my water in my guest room with me today. When are you going to fix the aesthetics? F you, Mike. Okay. So this is what's going on with that. That's a good question. So right now, I feel I tape this in the guest room of my apartment. The goal ultimately is to have a situation where, like, maybe I have a green screen or blue screen behind me and fix things up. I remember asking my cousin Sheree a long time ago if she could help me set up a green screen just to make it look more professional. Right now, we are in the infancy of this podcast, so it's going to take a little bit of time. Rome wasn't built in a day. I just started this, and we'll see how far this goes. Okay, what else? So, all right. So here's a good question right here. This is it's a good question with it's a good question. I'll answer. I was gonna do a backhanded compliment thing, but I'll go ahead and say this is a decent question. Um, why do you say voting in federal elections is just as important in voting in local elections? Local politics determines who are going to affect our the direct needs and interests of a community. Okay, so this is a fair question. We've been going on for 56 minutes so far. So, okay, this is a fair question. This is going to take a second. So, bear with me if you can. The United States of America, there are three branches of government that work in concert with each other. When I hear people say, oh, I vote in local elections are important. Federal elections mean nothing. This is a nonsense argument. And actually it's an intellectually dishonest argument, because federal elections do mean a lot. They mean a lot. It's a trickle up effect and a trickle down effect when it comes to politics. You can Google that stuff and I'm sure something will come up. But it's a trickle. Local politics trickles up, federal politics trickles down. Do you understand that? That's how it works. Federal politics trickles down, local politics trickles up. So, what is the United States of America? Are we a republic or are we a democracy? We are a mixture of both. We are a democratic republic. Why are we a democratic republic in the United States of America? What do you mean when you say a democratic republic? So when we vote, whether it be locally, federally, whatever, we are voting. This is what makes us a democracy. We are voting on people that are supposed to act in our interest, in the interest of their constituency, in the interest of people who voted for them. So that's what makes us a democracy. And in the United States of America, we have that right to vote for like-minded people and count on them to act in our interests. This goes for the federal level, the state level, the local level, whatever. That's important to understand and to know. We are a republic, however, in that once we vote on these people, once we vote for state representatives, local representatives, federal representatives, for whatever, once we vote on these people, that's kind of where our power ends, outside of like lobbying and joining unions and things of that nature, joining interest groups and things of that nature. We vote for these local elected officials to represent us when they talk to President Biden, when they talk to in California, Governor Newsom, when they talk to these people, because we do not have direct lines of communication with Gavin Newsom. We do not have direct lines of communication with Joe Biden. These elected officials do. So it's important that you elect elected officials so they could represent us at the federal level as well. And when people say to me, oh, it's important to vote in local elections, but it's not important to vote in federal elections, I always follow this up with the same few questions. I'll be like, who is your congressman or woman? What district number do you live in? What school board what's the name of the superintendent of your school board? I'll ask them these kind of questions. Who is the local sheriff in your county? Who is the police chief in your county? Nobody ever knows the answer to this when I ask them that question. When they talk about how important it is to vote in local elections, they never tell me the names of these people. They don't know them. They're just it's most of the time when people say that it's some BS crap they heard. They're regurgitating from either like a anti woke activist or a activist that is like super radical or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Or someone like I've heard people online like the hotep types, if that makes sense, like the very like pro black people, pro radical people say, oh, it only matters at the local, it matters at every single level. Because you don't want an idiot speaking for you at the government level, at the federal level, rather, right? So who represents my community? Okay, fine. Let me see if I could get that. All right, so my local congressman is Judy Chu, because I live in District 27. Although I think they redrew the district because I used to live in 27. The last person I voted for in Monrovia was Judy Chu. The district might have been redrawn. I'll learn that soon enough. I live in District 27. If they redrew the district, I'm probably in District 34 now. Because I think me and my girlfriend looked this up the other day, and I might be in District 34 now. But in the representative there is Grace something. I can't think of her last name at the moment. The superintendent in Monrovia is Celine Lockerbie. You know what I'm saying? I can spout this stuff off because it's stuff that I make it my business to know. So I'm a person that thinks local elections and federal elections are just equally as important. If someone told me, oh, federal elections are more important than local elections, I'd look at them like they were crazy too. You can't negate one for the other. They all work in conference with each other, in concert with each other rather. That's how it is. So let me see. That's a few things. So let me see, how long have we been going on? We've been going on for about an hour and 4 minutes. I don't have any more chats or anything like that. Across platforms, I've got about 150 people listening to me live at the moment. So thank you for that, like across platforms. Hopefully I grow this a little bit more. Hopefully I don't do what I sometimes do and like, this is a waste of time. I'm not going to do it anymore. Whatever, anything like that. So thank you guys for joining me. I did kind of want to talk about this let me see. Okay, if I could find a clip of this, we can talk about it. This interview that Piers Morgan is supposed to have with Donald Trump. He already had it, but it's supposed to air, and this clip looks confrontational as F. Let me see. Here's Morgan. Sorry, I'm a slow typer, y'all. I do not type for a living. My girlfriend, she is a crazy ass typer. She goes nuts with it, right? So let me All right, I'm having a hard time finding this clip. If I can't find the clip, then I'm just gonna sign off. But um, find the clip, Ely. All right, I'll find the clip. I'll find the clip. Let me go here. I tweeted this out the other day, so let me see if I can find it on Twitter. Um, tweets and replies. That's where you look at on. I'm not the most social media savvy person on the planet, but I will try. I'll always give a team effort. Here it is. Okay, let me share my the StreamYard, and then we could if you've got any questions after this, we could talk about it. Am I looking forward to this interview? Yes, I am. But and I don't like Piers Morgan, but I like Donald Trump even less. So let me see what this, if I could go to the share screen. Share screen. See, this is how I'm not the best versed at this, because I'll keep like talking as I press things. Again, this is something. This is a crazy learning curve for me. So okay, so Piers Morgan. So let's see if I could get the sound on.
You lost.
Only a fool would think.
You think I'm a fool?
I do now, yeah.
With
Excuse me.
Well, let's watch it from the beginning. Let's watch it from the
The
beginning.
former president in
I'll
denial.
be completely straight to your face.
I think I'm a very honest man. Much more honest than you, actually.
Really?
Yeah.
It was a free and fair election. You lost.
Only a fool would think.
You think I'm a fool?
I do now, yeah.
With respect.
Excuse me.
Okay, with
The
respect, you haven't
legislature.
produced the hard evidence.
Excuse me.
The most explosive interview of the
I
year.
don't think you're real.
I realize I'm not like.
Very
I
dishonest.
just-
Let's finish up the interview.
Morgan versus
Turn the
Trump.
camera up. Very dishonest.
Only on Talk TV.
All right, so that's funny to me, man. It just cracks me up. I don't like Piers Morgan at all. I don't ever want to come on this thing and make it sound like I think Piers Morgan is a respectable journalist or a good faith actor in the world of politics or anything that of that nature. But at the very least, in this interview, it looks like he is keeping it real with Trump and telling them that he lost the election. I mean, that this is an obvious thing because Donald Trump is the president. We have to have this discussion. There's no debate on if Trump won or lost. If the court settled that for us. The court when a court throws out a case altogether, that usually means that there was no significant proof or anything to consider that the arguments were real or whatever. So that's the thing with that. For your argument to be heard in a court of law, there's got to be enough merit there, enough fact-based merit there to talk about these kind of thing, to be like, okay, this is worthy of a conversation. All right. So anyway, my friends at Post Wrestling are about to come on in about 30 minutes. Shout out to John Pollock and Wei Ting. Again, I do not compete with my friends when they're airing their stuff. I let them, do their things. Like I'm not going to encroach on any of my other podcasting buddies' time. So I'm going to concede my time to my friends now. Thank you for joining me. And hopefully within the next month or so, I could get this looking a little bit more professional. And you guys have been so great with your feedback. probably in the middle of the week, you could send feedback to an email address that I post. And I forgot to post my banner up while I've been going on. So let me do that real quick because that is important. I got so anxious to do my podcast that I didn't post my banner up the whole time that I was doing the podcast. So that is my banner. These are the places to follow me or like me or whatever. Check this banner up. I'll leave it up for a second because I can't believe that I forgot to do that. This is live streaming. And when you're live streaming, it's easy to forget things. So these are all the platforms you can follow me at. So just take note of it. And I have to remember to put this banner up the next time that I podcast. All right, later, y'all. I'm out of here. Peace.